Hello and welcome to the second section of the corporate bonds major markets part. Here we're going to look at two-way tables and tax rates with those tables. So the tax-exempt yield on some corporate bond, say it's 2%, and the marginal tax rate is 10%. So to find the equivalent taxable yield, we do the tax-exempt rate divided by 1 plus the marginal tax rate, and that gives us 2.22. And right here we'll just do, we can either say equals this, or we could just do that same equation, which I'm going to do because it's more logical, so I'll just say that equation. Alright, so this is a two-way table, and it says to, the two-way table is great because you can put, on this row we have the marginal tax rate, different marginal tax rates. So say your tax rate was 35%, and here we're going to put the tax-exempt yields. So if we were to go here, we could say, well, what's your equivalent taxable yield if your marginal tax rate is 15% and your tax-exempt yield is 2%. So in order to do that, we need to fill this series here. We're going to have it grow by 0.5 increments. So now we have 2.53, 3.54, 4.55. Disregard this. You can even make it white if you don't want to look at it. But so once we have this filled here and then this filled here, we can see that this was given. We needed to do 10, 15, 27, 30, 35, 38.6. And these two cells right here have to be these two cells. That's the one constraint here. You can even do, here we did equals 2%. We could even do equals that just to not confuse ourselves. Okay, so we're going to select this all. If you click here and press Control-Shift down and then Control-Shift over, and then we want to go to the Data tab and What If statements and Data table. So that was, I believe, HAWT. So the row input cells, in the rows we know we want the marginal tax rate, and in the columns we know we want the tax-exempt yields. So we put those from, and make sure you have to click the two that are here because those are what this equation is referencing, and I'll explain that in a second. Actually this you have to actually just put 2%. You can't do equals, I forgot, because it screws up the table. So if we look here, this cell, you can't actually edit this text because it's part of this table function. That's the only constraint here. You shouldn't have to ever touch this anyway because these are results from equations. So these two cells should always be the same. This is saying, if you, inside here, the Excel knows that you are talking about a 10% marginal tax rate and a 2% yield, and it knows that it's using this equation. So it basically uses whatever equation's here. And you could even have this just say, like I was saying before, equals that, and it wouldn't change the data because it knows, Excel will basically go, okay, well, I need to reference this from cell G4. It'll say, okay, well, I know the formula is in F3, but that brings me to another formula, which brings me to C7. So it's smart enough to kind of trace back where you need to go. So you can either just put this in as equals that cell, or you can put it as the whole formula. What you can't do is put 2.22% because, as you can see, Excel now has no idea what equation you're saying. It thinks that the equation is, this and this equals that, but it has no idea what the actual equation is. So as long as you reference the cell where the equation is in, or you just put in the direct equation, it should work. In this whole table we have conditional formatting. Remember how to do that is under Home, Conditional Formatting, we're going to manage our rules, just so we can see. Our first rule is saying that if the cell value is between 0.04 and 0.07, so 4 and 7%, in any of these, we want it to be blue italics. So as you can see, those are blue italics, that's the middle range, and if it is greater than 0.07 or 7%, we want it to be this red. So you can see this is what the two-way table does. Remember, you have to select the whole table and then go to data, what if, data table in order to make it work. And the other constraint is these two cells right here have to be actual number inputs, but this cell right here has to be an equation or referencing another cell that has a specific equation in it. So let's just, this could be, we can change this formula, so this is going to be complete nonsense, but just to show you kind of what this does, we could say, you know, the taxable, or some value equals 2% times this plus 3. So as you can see, plus point. So as you can see, even though we changed this to be some nonsensical format or formula, this still kind of trickles through, and it is saying, well, we know this. Let's make this. You kind of see what's going on here. It's just, it thinks that the equation is, you know, tax exempt times that. So I think that's everything you need to know. Remember, these three cells right here are key, and other than that, these directions are pretty good.